Hello and welcome to PlayStation Racer. My name is Mitchell Morgan and today we've got 3 races for you. We've got an additional race in Italy at the Autodrome Lago Maggiore, which is the Sunday Cup. Now we'd already done the circuit experience and we did a couple of the others. For this one we can win this little Fiat 500 it looks like. So we're going to pick a car and we're going to go for it. And I'm going to cheat slightly. I'm going to go for a faster car than the ones that are available to us. Again, this is this little cheat just so that we can get through and win the car that we need. So we're going with the Mitsubishi GTO in this instance, and we should be able to cut through this traffic really quickly. So you can see already we are onto this Mini super fast. We're going around the Fiat, so that's 2 done before the first corner. We need to be careful about how we're going to overtake this beetle because we are so much faster, and go into this second corner. Really for this one I should have gone with a Mini, I think. We really are driving this way too quickly, being careful to get up the inside of that Mini there, and we get onto this little complex of corners very quickly. We've got 2 cars side by side there, so we're very careful about how we're going to overtake these. We are so much quicker that we can really pick our moments when we overtake. And well, halfway around the first lap and we are already into first place, way too deep there. Obviously this is the first time I've driven this car, 1 mile on the clock, so brand new car, track that we're not really used to. Well, we've done the circuit experience and everything, so we should be relatively used to it, but certainly not used to it with this particular car. So looking at the braking point here, get it turned in. Again, running deep on the brakes. Really didn't manage to get that slowed down at all. Take it a little bit more easy through here. We're in first gear and we should really have been in second gear through there. Come up into second, down into first to get it turned in. Really being a bit overcautious here, I think. Just not wanting to throw everything away. We're nearly 7 seconds up almost. Actually back down to 6, so catching slightly, but yet so much faster in this car. I still consider this to be a massive cheat, but it is something that I am going to be using just to get these particular challenges done. At the end of the day, if the game is going to allow you to use these cars in silly races like this, then there is absolutely no point in not exploiting the issue, if I'm perfectly honest. Because it does mean that you can get through the game quicker. I suppose it depends how you want to play it. If you want to play the game properly, then pick an appropriate car. If you just want to get through the game as I do at the moment, then just go with the fastest car that you've got, or at least one that will go through the other cars very quickly. So there we go, we've got our Fiat, so we've got 2 of the 3 cars now collected, which is rather nice. And we can watch the replay if we really want to, but it's a very unfair race and I'm really not going to bother about that. And we were 10 seconds ahead of the second place. So yeah, I don't feel overly good about doing those, but it's all about acquiring that car. Now I guess just to put this into perspective for the purposes of this race, what we'll do is we'll just change the car and we'll pick up the Fiat. You just enter the race and you'll be able to see the difference between what we just did and then what happens if you are actually running with the appropriate car. And you're going to see a stark difference. So I could have gone for the Mini, which might have been a little bit quicker than the Fiat 500 if I'm honest. And there are other cars that we could have chosen. But you'll see here we're in the Fiat, we're changing up, we're pretty much keeping the accelerator completely buried. And are we catching those cars in front? I don't think we're catching them at all. We did a little bit under braking there. But you can see this Fiat is all over the place. And we are 2.7, 2.3. They've now negotiated those corners. We're coming up onto these corners and already the cars in front, 3.7, 3.9, they're actually going away from us. So we've only got 2 laps to get 3rd place or higher. and they're going away from us. I can't even imagine that we're going to catch them. So this is another reason why when I just want to get through the game, I just pick a really quick car and just go for it. And within a couple of minutes you've done it, rather than having a really slow car like that where you've got to try and get on the back of people, slipstream, etc. So the main part of today was to nip over to Brands Hatch to do the Sunday Cup, the GT Cup. Obviously we haven't got a GT4 race car, so we won't be able to do that, and the circuit experience in what looks like quite a funky car. So we'll come to that in a moment. We'll do the Sunday Cup first of all. The car that I'm going to use, I've got a big old choice of cars here. We'll probably go with the Clio RS. We've still got a lot of slow traffic. I don't really want to go for something really quick, and I just give one of the other cars a run for today. So again, we've got a modern car against older cars. We're definitely going to have a performance benefit, I would imagine, in this race, and you can see straight away that we're already up onto that Fiat 500, coming onto the inside of the VW van. Again, this is just, well, 2 laps, but we've already thrown it off the track. That corner catches me out all the time. The VW goes back through. I'm not going to worry about that too much because we've got such a speed advantage on these vehicles. Really, all I've got to do is keep it on the track. We don't need to overtake all of these cars in the first corner. We can take a little bit of time. So we're going to do the Mini, just back off a little bit, go around the outside of the VW van. I do love those VW camper vans. My mum and dad had one of those back in the day. I remember going on holiday in them, and my bed was on the top of the engine. So if we've driven 300 or 400 miles to go on holiday, I had the best bed in the van, especially in the winter or the colder months, because it's right on top of the engine. They've been warming up my sleeping bag and my bed all night long. Brilliant, I loved it. Anyway, back to the race. So we are 1.6 seconds ahead of the car behind and pulling away, and we're 1.5 and quite clearly catching the car in front. I slowed it down a lot more for this corner this time to see if we can make it. The Golf there, I thought he might have drifted out and into me, and I really don't want to get a damage or anything in this race. We want to keep it clean, so I just backed out a little bit. The AI relented, so we put the accelerator down and just came through to take first place, and we're already 3 seconds up. This is lap 2. We've got half a lap to go. So we could probably chuck it off the track, we could probably do a spin, but we don't really want to do any of that. We don't want to make life any harder for ourselves. So although I'm setting purple sectors here, that's only because I'm getting more used to how this car handles on this particular track. All I really want to do is to get around this corner, bring it home for a very easy win. And again, is this cheating? I'm going to be saying this all the time. Is this cheating? I think it's cheating the game. I think that the game really ought to stop this sort of behaviour. You can see there I could run with a Mustang or a GTO, some much quicker cars. But the Clio was my car of choice, and we now get the VW Beetle, which means that we complete that menu book, which is great news. Again, I will be doing a video on what to buy and when to buy as far as cars are concerned, but you're already seeing that there's a benefit to not buying cars right now, because you never know what you're going to win, and it makes sense to win the cars and buy them. But I will be doing that video very soon, so watch out for that. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing so you get a notification of when that video comes out. And I'm valuing all my subscribers at the moment because I'm trying to start a new channel and it's quite difficult. So yeah, GT Cup, the GR5, we need a racing car, so we can't do anything with that. So we will go straight into the circuit experience, and this is all about just trying to get some extra cash in the bank. Okay, so this is it's actually a 2-seater. I'm not sure whether you call that a racing car or what it is. I don't actually even know what car that is. I didn't actually look. But we are looking to try and get around this first corner. Completely messed that up. We're looking for a 22.4 for this particular sector. And we've obviously got the ghost car on at the moment just ahead of us. So the aim would be to try and stay in touch with the ghost car. So a 23.6, which is good enough for bronze. You could see how bad that run was. Absolutely terrible, but how easy it is to get bronze. So if you're just interested in getting bronzes on these, it's super easy. If you want a good gold, then often you'll find that you'll end up doing 2, 3 or even more runs of these, especially as some of these tracks get more and more complicated. You can find yourself doing a number of runs, and in fact this particular circuit experience, we've gone silver now, so we're proving, which is good. This particular circuit experience really taxed me. I did okay in the sectors, but this whole video is just over an hour long because I struggled to put a full lap together. Now, I'm not going to edit this video. I will leave it in its full duration. However, at some point I am going to stop narrating this video because I'm actually talking while I'm racing this. This was recorded quite late at night and I didn't want to disturb everybody, so I am narrating this after the fact. And we'll get to a point where I'll stop narrating. But what I will do is in the description below, I'll add some chapter markers so that you can jump to the end where I actually do my gold lap. And I may well just talk through that one. But for the moment, we're just working on these sectors. So we're looking for a 24.9. And we're looking to try and improve all of the time. We've gone a little bit deep into that corner. And I'm sort of following the ghost car a little bit with this one. You'll notice that the ghost car doesn't use the same line as the suggested driving line. And again, this comes down to one of the things that I will want to talk about, and that is the driving aids at some point. Do you put the driving line on, or do you learn the track and to drive it your own way? See how he goes really wide there? And I'm sort of wavering between the two there. I'm neither following the ghost car, nor am I following the yellow line. I'm a little bit undecided on what is the best route to go. So sometimes I find that this racing line does actually slow me down. And we did get gold there, which is good. We're in third place. Again, I'm not too worried about where I am with regards to my friends. So we'll move on to the next one. So we've done sector 1 and 2. I've lost my train of thought while I was talking. We're now on to sector 3. And sector 3 has some pretty interesting corners. These ones you really want to be taking quite a lot of the curb when we come up to this part here. It's a little bit unsighted, so you need to come over to the left and then jump across that curb, which then throws you across the track onto the other curb. You make sure that you don't go too wide, get it settled down for this run through to this corner, and again you can take a lot of curb there, but make sure that you don't wind up in that gravel trap. And again, in this corner there's quite a lot of curb that you can take to get a much better run at the end to the finish. And we only did a 37.2 there, so we are slightly over on the required speed. So I'm going to need to look to be a little bit more brave through these corners, to try and carry a little bit more speed. I got the angle really wrong there, a little bit put off by the ghost car, and rather than keeping it to the left and sweeping in, I wandered into the middle of the track. So you have got to be a little bit careful with these ghost cars. And again, I'm halfway between the ghost car and the driving line, rather than having one or the other. So should I have the racing line on? I think probably not. I think having the racing line on is actually putting me off at this phase of my playing the game. And it's probably one of the driving aids that I really need to lose at this moment in time. Not for the minute, because we're obviously driving, and we threw it off the track at the end. I was a little bit too far back from the ghost car. I'm just trying a little bit too hard to get onto the back of the ghost car. So just needed to work just a little bit harder and just see if we can get onto the back of the ghost car and just really try and stay with him, see if we can get this gold. It's really what we're looking for. Okay, so we're coming across the corner, apexing that one. We didn't actually get right up onto the curb that time. We're up on the curb this time. Be careful we don't go too wide. Okay, we've got a good idea of how wide we can go on that final corner now. And that gives us a 37.003. It's a 3,000th of a second off of gold. You're going to see this time and time and time again that I get so close, but not quite there. So we've got to find next to nothing. Building on what we've learnt already with regards to when to turn in, where the braking points are, when to turn in, how much curb we can get, how unsettled the car becomes as we go over those curves, or whether it is settled. And you can see here I'm trying to take a lot more curb, trying to carry a lot more speed through these corners. And even on this one, he brakes quite early, the ghost car. I can carry a lot more speed through that, and we're getting onto the back of him. And then we get a 36.185, and that's gold for sector 3. So getting through the initial sectors, so we just go to exit there. I've got one more to do. So we are what, 12 minutes into the sectors at the moment. It's 12 minutes to do the first 3, which is not too bad. So sector 4 is interesting because this is a really long, fast corner that you have to get right, but if you get it wrong, you will end up in that gravel trap. So there's a fine line between pushing it to the limit and pushing it over the limit. And thankfully we won an 18.8 in gold straight away. So there we go. We are roughly 13 minutes in, and we've got all of those sectors done. Now we need to do the full track, a full lap of this track that drives me insane, and immediately I'm trying to push too hard and we put it into the gravel. So we'll go again, and you're going to find that I do this for about the next 3/4 of an hour. I'm just trying to find the right lines, the right speeds to get through all of these corners, and I'm trying to really push it at the very beginning of the lap, because if I can make a little bit of time up through this corner and get this corner right, then that does mean I've got the opportunity to make maybe 1 or 2 very small mistakes through the rest of the lap. If you make a mistake into the first corner, of course, you've blown the lap at the first corner, and you might as well just give up and call it a day. So that's the reason why I'm pushing excessively hard into the first corner, going off the track because we're trying to find those track limits. Any racing driver will tell you if you never throw it off the track and you never spin a car, you are not pushing the car hard enough and exploring where the limits of the car, the track and yourself are. You need to try and find where those limits are. So you need to find out where you are pushing it too hard, and then maybe adjust the braking zone, adjust the turn-in, adjust the line through the corner, maybe adjust the gear. There's all sorts of different things that you might need to do depending on the issue that you are having. So here we go. The ghost car has got away from us quite significantly. So as you will have seen in previous videos, sometimes I will turn the demonstration ghost car off and put my own ghost car on, because I find it easier to chase my own ghost car and then to get quicker and quicker and quicker than it is to find that ghost car that is gold if I'm struggling to put a full lap together. Now I'm looking for a 141.5, and we come across the line with a 142.2, so we've gone silver, which isn't too bad, but we just really now need to just keep on pushing and pushing and pushing. So we are we're about 19.5 minutes into this video. I'm actually going to stop narrating now. I'll leave the video just to run, so those of you that want to see the full experience, my mistakes, how I was building on each of the laps and trying to learn as we went through, you'll be able to watch that. and then I'll pick up the video again towards the end just with the close. So hopefully I'll see you at the end of the video. For now, see you in a moment. Bye. Hello and welcome back. Thank you for sticking with this video or for jumping to this point in the video. So we have been running this challenge for quite some minutes now and constantly just trying to find the extra 10th here, 10th there, just to be able to get the 141.5. And you see there I just threw that one off the track. Clearly it was not good enough. It was never going to happen because what I'm trying to do is continue to try and get as much speed as I can through the corner. And this first corner really was my nemesis. I really struggled with it. And then on the last lap where we managed to go goal, it just came good. It was one of those moments where you'd been running and getting more and more frustrated, and then suddenly it's like, I can't be bothered, I'm just going to drive. And I remember this lap, I just drove it. I didn't really overthink things. It was just a case of just driving it. I wasn't necessarily following the yellow line on the road. I wasn't particularly following the ghost car. I was literally just doing what felt right. And again, in some respects, this is another reason to have this racing line turned off and potentially have the ghost car turned off and just go for it. Now, having the ghost car on does enable you to gauge your progress of this lap, although you have got the timer. So if you know that you go through a particular point on the track, maybe a corner or past a marshal stand or past something of significance, then you can see how you are doing. But all the way through this particular lap, it just felt a little bit better. It was better and better and better all the time. We're still quite a fair way off of the ghost car, but we were managing to keep the car in a straight line. Some of the apexes were reasonable. We got some good runs out of some of the corners, and we did manage to get a 141.066. So that was a good 0.4 of a second within the time limit, which I was really pleased with. At this point I was completely shattered. I hadn't had a break, and I should have had a break. I was completely worn out and just sat back just to enjoy the lap. So you can see there we put a tyre in the dirt there just to get it turned in, which was okay. You've got to bear in mind the tyre might have been a little bit dirty. Again there, a little bit of dust kicked up, but trying to make the most out of all of these corners. I felt that the angle on that corner was a little bit untidy, so there was definitely a lot more time to be had in this lap. We didn't go fully deep into that corner. Again, we were sort of mid-track, the same as it was when I did the sector. I didn't particularly like the racing line through that corner, and I didn't really like the line that the ghost car was taking, so I found my own line through there which worked for me, and then that set me up for the next couple of corners and just carrying the speed through. So at this part of the lap I was starting to feel reasonably good. The whole thing was fairly settled. That corner we took really nicely, cutting the corner, didn't unstuck the car whatsoever. Through here it was the same. We took a nice bit of curb going right the way out to the side of the track. Even through here we rode this curb really nicely. We got a good exit, loads of speed to take us down underneath the bridge to come into the final corner, and at this point you could really smell gold. And I was thinking, maybe this is it. The ghost car was still quite a fair way down the road, but it just felt that it was pretty good. I hugged the inside, and there's a checkered flag, and we did it. Gold, which is what this is all about. Quite glad that this circuit challenge is over. Goodwood and Brands Hatch, although they're the UK tracks, and I'm obviously in the UK, they're not my best, but hey, we've actually gone top of the Friends ranking there for that, which is an even better bonus. That was unexpected, very, very unexpected, especially as I know somebody who loves racing Brands Hatch and always beats me on that track. So really pleased to have done quite well on that particular track. So there we go, all gold. the Sunday Cup is done. The GT Cup we will need to leave for another day. So we will back out of here and we'll go back to the main window, world map. And you can see now that we've got a little yellow marker above the cafe. So if we go back to the cafe, then we will find we've got our 3 European cars. We've got the Fiat 500, the Beetle, and the all-important Mini. So Luca is going to take us through some information about the cars, as he always does. We've also got a roulette ticket, and we've also unlocked the high-speed ring in Japan. And it looks like something's been done with the tuning shop as well. So quite a lot was unlocked with that particular challenge. So really quite pleased to have got that done. Not sure I ever run with these 3 cars after I've got them. I think this is probably the only time in the game where I ever run them. But it is part of the game, and a big part of the game is collecting the menu books. So we are now well on our way to collecting those. There are quite a few, and you do collect quite a few cars on the way. It's a nice little cameo video there. And so with the menu books, our next one is the high-speed ring, which we will need to do, and I'm going to keep that for another day. It's at the Suzuka circuit in Japan. I shall actually quite look forward to that one. I do like Suzuka. Hopefully it is going in the right direction and not reversed. And oh, we've got a little video. Okay, so we've got a stream. And we've got a car. Okay. This is just a bit of B-roll footage. Looks like it's just a bit of B-roll footage there. The high-speed ring track day. Like I said, we'll keep that for another day. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. In the meantime, I look forward to seeing you on another video coming very soon. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.